Here's often what people say about developing countries, but why developing countries are actually the number one place you should park your money. Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Report. Today we're going to talk about developing countries and how developing countries are actually one of the most safe places to keep your money. And this may seem counterintuitive, but if you look at the data states that developing nations have the lowest rates of bank failures, even lower than the United States, even lower than Germany, even lower than Austria, even lower than Switzerland. If you look at most of the developing nations today, the number one place that you can go is these countries. If you look at how they operate, it is on a very conservative basis, as they know they are not getting loans from the outside. And so if they give you a loan, they need you to pay it off. Well, if they need you to pay it off, well, all of a sudden it becomes, we can't loan to you because you are giving us a bad name. And then additionally, rates aren't insane if you look at the loan rates. And so it's with this arbitrage that you can go into a bank in Georgia and have zero bank failures. Or you can go to a bank in Armenia and they have zero bank failures, because these banks buy the other banks and they insure their capital. They ensure that people will get paid back. And this is something that not many people know about. And inherently, developing countries, even though they're rough on the surface, are very smart in how they grow their deposit bases and how they grow what they're doing and their operations. If you look at the balance sheet for a Bank of Georgia, for example, it's far better than a lot of Western banks. The reason Western banks work is because they know that they will get bailed out. Georgian banks do not know that. Armenian banks do not know that. Even banks in countries you wouldn't think of are significantly more able to insure your deposit than nearly every other country. Let's look at another example, North Macedonia. North Macedonia is one of the best banking destinations in the Balkans. Guess how many people have heard of North Macedonia? Not many. I can tell you now, even in Albania, which is right next to North Macedonia, no one would tell you that, oh yeah, banking in North Macedonia is good, because they don't know. Similarly, everyone thinks that Greece is this amazing destination that has capital appreciation. Greece is one of the worst economies in the Balkans in terms of debt, in terms of how they are servicing that debt, because they got complacent with the EU. And when you get complacent with the EU, you take loans. When you take loans that you can't pay back, there is austerity. And austerity has destroyed Greece, and particularly their unemployment rate is insanely high relative to the region. And this is saying it's high relative to the region, while Albania's unemployment rate is something like 12%. And while I think that realistically, if you want solid banking, of course there's Liechtenstein, there's Luxembourg, there's the Netherlands, there's Germany. Wouldn't recommend Germany or Switzerland anymore, really. There's Dubai, the UAE in general, Oman, Singapore, and these are all great banking destinations. However, as I'll show you when I go to the UAE, it's very difficult to find solid service, whereas service culture in these banking jurisdictions that are developing are insanely high. You know, if you go to Liechtenstein, they will treat you like you're just another cog in the wheel. But in North Macedonia, if you come in, even with a nominal salary, let's say you're bringing in an American salary, they will treat you like an absolute king. Same in Georgia, same in Armenia. The reason why is they need foreign deposits, but they don't necessarily have the same goals with those foreign deposits as someone in the West would. In the West, you're seen as someone who is realistically just giving them more money. which they don't want, they don't need. I mean, they do want it, but they don't act like they want it. And so, inherently, it becomes this very hostile ideal in the Western world. And, that's fine. That's their prerogative, right? If they don't want to give good service, and if they don't want to give good rates, then let them do that. But I'm here in Moldova. It's a beautiful country. However, banks here actually want you to bank in their banks. And I was talking with a lawyer the other day about banking, and I had a similar video earlier, right? Why banking in developing countries can help you get connections. But developing countries and banking in developing countries is inherently, it doesn't just help you get connections, it's the better play, because you get higher capital appreciation through their foreign currency. I'll overlay a graph of the Georgian lari versus the US dollar and the Armenian dram against the United States dollar, which I've gotten the data from Google, but it's insane. It's insane how high the rates are in these countries. If you bank with, for example, Bank of Georgia, you're getting 12% on your capital. In some instances, I think nowadays it's more like 10% on a normal deposit. But even at 9 or 10%, the lari is going up against the dollar. The same in Armenia, although the Armenian dram is weakening against the dollar. It's insanely high return on capital. And it's the same in Azerbaijan. But Azerbaijan, unlike other nations, has oil wealth, and it pegs its currency against the dollar. And so there are so many banking jurisdictions that are high reward, low risk, and especially in countries no one has heard of. I'm going to Uzbekistan soon to open a bank account in Uzbekistan. No one's gonna tell you that the Uzbek som only goes up about 5%, 5 to 7% relative to the dollar, and their deposit rates are 18%, 20%. 22%, and they have very good, very high quality banking, especially İPAK Yolu, which I will actually be hopefully, if I can convince the manager of İPAK Yolu to let me record, because of course in Uzbekistan it's very difficult to record in private businesses. However, I would like to go through banking options in different countries and share with you the opening process. Now, I can't do that yet in Moldova, because in Moldova they require you to have residency. However, I will give you the process I took to get residency here very soon. I believe I am going through a law firm that I will not mention yet, because we haven't finalized anything, and I believe that it is very important for me to vet them and then give you that information. However, it's insane how easy it's getting to find high quality banking, to find high quality arbitrage opportunities in Forex, as when the dollar weakens, foreign exchange reserves go skyrocketing. And especially with the dollar looking like it will weaken further, it becomes very enticing to go to a place like Cambodia, like Thailand, Malaysia, Uzbekistan, and really bank with them and learn their processes. And so, if you want to join me in creating this banking playlist, descriptions, going through all the countries, if you'd like to help me create that playlist, feel free to subscribe. That helps me out more than you know. If you liked the video, feel free to like it. If you really liked the video, feel free to share it. And this has been the Traveling Report, and I'm off.